And good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100 for Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. Again, quite the interesting day. That's all I can start by saying that. The long wait for the earnings report that was going to blow the doors off everything, when it come in above the high expectations, did so. The market in Nvidia rallied up real quick, sold off even quicker, and then rallied back up above 500, then sold off again. And as I come on to make this update, they've now taken it back down to about 493, and now they're slowly buying it back up again. So it is an extremely confusing picture. And I don't think I'm going to have a lot of battles with people on whether it is or not confusing. But what I'm going to present tonight is, again, I am working on that bigger picture. And I'm really walking myself through many different combinations, many scenarios that will attempt to come up with a viable structure that is really going to be reflective of the market internals, what is actually happening, and what comes next. Now, I granted you the conversation truly has been wrapping itself around on that Zvig breath thrust indicator, which has been triggered twice in 2023. And this is something that goes back many years, couple of decades at least. And each time it's been triggered in the 17 previous times it was triggered, has always had 100% accuracy in that the market ends up being 15 to 25% higher within 6 to 12 months after. Now, as I said yesterday, we have enough things going on in a geopolitical world, within our political world, here in the United States, within the economy, within the Fed, within so many different things, that could it really be an impossibility for the market to drop down 30 to 38% and then pick up a strong rally, but do it in the way of a cycle B wave? So I know I'm talking a lot of degrees here, folks, and I am going to go over in detail over this long weekend, so that I want to be able to explain this to everyone and make sure that they understand. I know what I'm doing in these shorter updates, flipping around these degrees. It's like, what are you talking about? Where are you going? And so I'm going to just really stick right here with this hourly chart and on a short-term basis, but I am going to include some of the alternate views that I am working together to try and just put, where is this market going to end up? So the two alternate views that I'm working with, believe it or not, still in the picture, is that this is an intermediate wave 2 up off of those late October lows, which possibly have completed an intermediate wave 1. I know there's great discussion over whether that is truly going to be an acceptable diagonal triangle within the S&P, and it is acceptable, and it is acceptable in the Nasdaq as well. And so, but we have that internal trigger that got triggered, so the market internals, which throws a little bit of a wrench in there. So the other alternate that I'm working with is that what that really was in both the S&P, which does kind of then start to get sticky again, because yes, it does. In terms of a minor fourth wave coming down, it does basically start to overlap wave 1. And so now I'm dealing with that again, but now in the S&P. So again, either way, somehow alliances are going to have to be made. But there's one additional that is a strong possibility and could be unfolding very quickly here, that I will attempt to present over this the holiday weekend, when I have time to really break it down and to discuss it and not make this a 1-hour update. Okay, so let's deal with those two counts that I'm running side by side and to see which one. Now, based on what and by the way, if you just look down at Nvidia, I've got it highlighted right there. It was just trading at 90, I believe it was 97, 98, and somebody just came down and sold it back down to 492, and now they're buying it back up. So this again is continuing to be extremely volatile. But what is that going to do overnight? What's going to happen? How's that going to be applicable tomorrow? Because this was the anticipated earnings report for 2 weeks now. And we watched Nvidia go from that October low, which was at 407, 406, somewhere down there, to 500 from October, the end of October till now. Now these earnings are out. Oh, okay. So what's going to happen? Maybe it's in line with what everything else. Yep. We see that you beat the street. Yep. We see that you keep thinking that you're going to make another 3 or 2.3 or whatever billion dollars more than the estimate in the fourth quarter. Yep, great. But is this the end of this whole cycle? And what happens next is you don't make as much money because the economy slows down, because we go into recession, because blah, blah, blah. So again, we don't know. And nobody can say for certain really what's going to happen. So let's go on the premise that we have to deal with the prices that goes right in front of us. That initial slide, and I'm actually going to bring this down to the 5-minute chart so that you can see what this did. So we're going, here's the high, and that was yesterday. So basically we kind of slid into our close yesterday, came back after hours. Here's Globex. Here again now as we're starting again today. We make a low at 45.37. We rally up, but look at that. 3 waves, 3 waves, 3 waves. So again, we then sell off, make an additional new low, slight, but new. And then we put in this huge bottoming tail and run it all the way back up and then sell it back down. And now we're moving sideways again. Actually, the market's closed for another 35 minutes before it reopens in Globex. How is it going to react? Because now Nvidia is now down $5 from where it closed instead of being up $2 or $3 or $4 as it was as this was going into the close. It's going to present a very confusing picture because in essence, what needs to take place is the market really can't be going down and starting to break lower levels. I'm going to bring it down to the 15-minute chart, and we're going to start to look over here. Here, if this is going to be wave 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 1 of 3 of 5, 2 of 3 of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 of 3 of 5, this is 4 of 3 of 5, well, then it just broke wave 1, right? Or almost. So do we have to now make an allowance? So we say, okay, but truly what needs to happen, folks, it needs to go from there and just start going up and not stop. No more downside because that level is 45.34.50. This level is 45.45.50. So it doesn't have a whole lot more room to start dropping. Excuse me, 45.36.75. That's the low that we got after market today. Now, it rallied all the way back, closed itself at 45.48. So, yep, okay, that's a good start. It now just needs to keep going to the upside to keep a rally phase going. If it starts to break down, then we may be forced to put a 5 here, and somehow it's kind of a failure, or put a 5 here as a failure, but it'll have to be enough, and we're turning lower. So again, then what is that going to be? Now let's go back out to that hourly. So what we're working with, a couple of things. If this is, again, an intermediate wave 1, which is still alive, then this would end up being wave A, wave B, both minor wave A, minor wave B of intermediate wave 2. Here's the 5 waves. There's the A. Here's the other. Getting ready to put the 5 in. There's the other. So A, B, there's the C. We would stick a 2. But if that is the case, now this is the important part that we really need to kind of just hold on to and realize what would have to happen next is the market just starts going down dramatically. If this is all done and we're dropping into what I would eventually label as either, the start of a much larger decline or the start of a much larger decline. So both ways that I'm going to present this is that if the market were to break above that 4684 number, now you're going to have to consider, okay, before we were thinking maybe Nvidia was going to blow the doors off and that would just drive it up there. So we'll just keep this bull market going. Well, that didn't really happen. So what in essence is going to carry it? Because if a lot of weight was being put on Nvidia, now we're going to transfer it and going to put it on Tesla. Who knows? So again, in order for the market to really come through with that side, it kind of has to go now, turn and go higher. And it needs to break above. So yeah, we could get up to maybe 4,600, 4,630, that area. And I would be able to put a wave 3 up there, right? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, then a 4, and then we do a 5. And again, under the additional counts, that could be part of a 5th wave up, part of, a larger move up. I would take into consideration that here we had that big thrust. We had some thrust here. We had thrust back in May. So is that going to build? Fed's not going to raise anymore. Fed's this, whatever. All of that now has to step back in, and we got to see. The year-end rally has to pick up again. Let me put it that way. Now, totally 100% possible. But again, if we're going to actually even consider that we're finishing up, and it's kind of difficult to try to do that, to try to stretch these waves to put a wave 1 all the way up here or wherever this ends up. It's very difficult to stretch all these internals to make it look, to fit this, because it counts very cleanly, as we can see these 5s. But that's one last possibility, that the 1 gets really stretched all the way up to here. But no matter what, even if we get a 3, we get a pullback. Then we get that would be a 4, then we get a 5, and then we're just actually finishing another larger either first wave or something along those lines, if this is going to be a rally that continues to drive higher. Again, I don't know. So I'm going on what exactly I have in front of us. And what it really tells me right here in front of us is that it's likely that we will or should go up and put a new high in above 45.71. Now, let me try to build in some fibs that would start to show us where we can go. And they're all actually going to be using the extension tool. So first one is going to be for a 3rd wave. And we'll go down to there. Come on, right? Come on, there. And so 618, I'm going to take that out already because it just is not valid. We've gone through it. So the next one is 46.37. So we have it. And then 48.11. So we get a break. We can get up here, 48.11. And we can do that all within that 3rd wave. If the 5 wave picks up and really starts to go. Didn't look like it was going to do it today, did it? So again, we have to respect the move. Now, here's the other. if we're in a fifth wave, let's see where that should kind of come in. We go from there to there, and then over to there, right? Come on, there. So again, 618 already exceeded. So let's get rid of that so we don't clean it up. First one, 45.83. Here we go again. Still got that same window. 46.30, 46.40. So that one's back. So that was never gone, but that one's back. What do we got above it? 47.14, 48.11. So now we have some additional upside. That would continue to present a more positive case for that rally to continue into year end. Now, what happens if the market does just continue and starts to break down below levels? Like, to tell you the truth, this little decline we got this afternoon, even though it recovered, did break below wave 3. Not, if we're in a wave 5 and the move that's supposed to be wave 4 breaks below wave 3, and technically it did break below wave 1, just a little, but it did break. That high was 45.39. That low was 45.36. Overlap? Yeah. Going to allow it? Don't know. These are the choices. The market gets to decide. I'm not sending out a memo going, hey guys, you overlap, so you have to go down. That one doesn't work. I wish it didn't. We'd all be billionaires. So again, these are what I'm working with. So for tomorrow, we have this 45.01. If we start to break 45.01, I have to assume that this mark at 45.71 completed a large enough move that if it's going to be an A wave, if it's going to be an ABC, if it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, that we're coming down. So let's just, for the sake of this argument, say that this did put in a 5 and we're going to stick a 3 above it. We already know that it's going to be shorter than wave 1, which puts a lot of pressure on anything coming next. But let's just say, so now we just want to run so we can get an idea of where should the market find support. So we're going to run it from there to there. Nope, take that off because, I'm kind of a perfectionist to get it right on where I want it. There. So what we have is the most common 38. And 38% sits below that 45.01. That's at 44.88. So now we're well below. We're below the 4 and we're below the 3 if the market starts to come off. So could be a number of things, but it no longer be a 4. It has to be connected to that this completed something. So is this 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C, A? There's another possibility that this is an A, B, C and smaller degree, or even if it's a minor degree, and then what's above it, an intermediate wave A, as a part of a larger, a double ABC off of, which is still part of the primary B wave. I know I'm talking about a lot. I'm sorry, but these are all in existence in my mind. So 45.01, 44.88, 44.62. We've got the 200 at 44.82. This is the hourly. If it starts to start coming down, starts breaking below here, let's just say they give it up. They just give it up and they just start dropping. That's what we'd be looking for if it was an intermediate wave 3 down, right? So we got that other alternate count. And even under this count, if we're going to say, well, there's that possibility that it is a completion point without it going up and making a new high, so we have failure. So many things, and it's true, folks, there's so many things. but we need to now just work with what we have. If you're a longer term investor, I really apologize, because this is a very confusing time in the market. And how do I position myself for what's actually going to be coming? What do you think? You know, what does your gut tell you? So again, those are the support levels. And we will get more information when the market decide or starts trading tomorrow. Continued decline. We have to going to go with a couple of things. And the one that really sticks out right now is the one that a lot of people don't like, and that it was an intermediate wave 1 down off of the July high down to the October low, and this is an intermediate wave 2. And this will get labeled A, B, C, intermediate 2. And we're going to drop. Now that, again, I emphasize, if that's the case, I'm looking for this to start to drop, and quickly. Form on the hourly chart a very quick 5 waves down and start breaking below 45, below 44. And just really take a lot of this back very quickly. What the catalyst is going to be, I don't know. Something will happen. I'm just reading here somewhere in the news that hostages are going to be released by Hamas. Is the market going to say good news and start to rally? I don't know. I really don't. So let's go over and take a look. Let's go over and take a look. Moving averages, actually, this is still pointing up. The 50 is still pointing up, but it starts to go flat. And, it paid attention to today. This is still just angling up. It's a very much slower moving average. So over in the Nasdaq, here we are. Now, here's what I put up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5. Now, let me take it out. Let me go to the 4-hour chart. I put a 4 there. If that doesn't fit, I think it does. Did we just complete the 5? Did we get above that? No. So is it a small failure? Yes. Not that bad. Not that bad of a failure. This high was, we did get above 16. Well, let me go like this. 61.16, I think, was the high. And what was this one? 61.22. So we're looking at 61.22 as being the high. So pull this all back out. That high was 62. Come on, give me this one now. 16,251. Yes, it's large enough, right? It's large enough, but not that severe. So it's about 130 points. But in the degree and what comes next, this is the most important part, that failure would fit. I do have 5 waves up, and that third wave was pretty gloriously strong. But then here's the deal. I'm going to look inside here. If this is 4, look what I got. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh, is that going to complete the 5? But guess what? Bang, bang, cross, cross, cross. Invade, invade, invade. All gathered back. We open in 15, 20 minutes. We'll see. Taking it down here. Bam. Okay, buy it. Bam. Okay, buy it. And so basically it got down to 15,912 was the low. What's it do? We'll have to wait and see. But I got to tell you, if it's the wave 5, then we could, and I'm telling you, if it's the minor wave 5, what gets put up there? Intermediate wave C, above that, primary wave B. That's the way I was counting that one. Or we have A, B, C. That's the other alternate. And you have, that would be a yellow because it would be intermediate. And we have intermediate wave 2. And that would be on the basis that this is a diagonal triangle. And all of this gets pushed back and the 5 gets put over here, et cetera, et cetera. Primary wave B, intermediate wave 1, intermediate wave 2 did not break. It would be so, that one I'm not resting heavily upon. I got to be honest with you. Because it does count much cleaner as a 5-wave structure up. Now, outside of all that, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to put a minor 1 or even an intermediate wave 1, because we're in a much stronger move to the upside, that is still within my discussion period for myself. Then even if this is going to be a couple of things, it could be an ABC A, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1. And then we start to pull down in a 2 wave, or we start to pull down in a B wave, or, there's a couple of suggestions. So, but let's just take a look. If counting it as 5 waves and looking for 3, then, it's actually up here. It's probably, I think it's a little bit higher, but I'm going to call it right there at 1575 because I know it was 1520, 22, and it was right. I'll leave it. So right now, if we start to pull back, any pullback, 0.382, 15,361. Here we have some type of a 4 or a B or something. So that brings us down to our next 50 is 15,128. You can look them. I'm going to leave them there. You can copy them down. But that does not mean that it's all done. It's all done. What initially you're going to look for is a much quicker, much more severe, right? So even if if I'm looking at this, and this is going to end up looking like, again, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then what does that say? We should drop precipitously. We should drop very hard. Again, overnight, what are they going to think about Nvidia? What are they going to think about the market? Et cetera, et cetera. What else is going to happen? So, a lot to be said. Now, upside, if it's going to turn and it's going to break, we already know. We have those levels out there that we've been looking at. 16,252 is one. We have additional. I'm just going to put it up, and I'm going to count using this particular count, and I'm going to put it up as if that 5th wave is not done, and we're going to turn and we're going to go higher, and we're going to go all the way up here. Let me start that over. Wave 1, there you go. Go up to wave 4. So what we have, well, we got this double going on right here at that high. That would be 100%. So we know that that's not going to work. Then we have 16,322. I know that's going to be new because I'm putting a 4th wave there versus it still would be, but the wave 1 would be here. So if we're looking at that, we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're inside that 5th wave. Okay. So this one would be if this is a larger, using a minute to form, or if this 3 stays, but it actually is a 3 of 5. So those fibs would be run from here to here, and then up to that same place, actually. So now you can see 2, 322, 452. 646. So we have levels all the way up. Look at that. We have levels all the way up. If the market decides to turn and make a run for it, then it's going to break here and it's just going to keep going. On an Elliott wave basis, I got to wait. But now what I've done is filled in the gaps here to, okay, if it decides to go up, where's going to find resistance? If it decides to go drop down, where can it find support? That's about as far as I think we should go right now, because we got to get through to see what the market, general market reaction is going to be since these earnings come out after the close. How's it going to look against AMD? AMD got marked down as well. How's it going to look against other AI stuff? You know, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, etc., etc. So we'll have a lot more information from the market tomorrow. And as far as moving averages go here in the Nasdaq, also pretty much the same. You know, still cruising, still turning. You know, we came down, we broke it. It did kind of start to accelerate, but not really. If it gets down to here and breaks, I would expect some acceleration. So we will see. And again, my apologies for maybe seeming to put too much information out there, to not be more specific. This is what's going to happen, but it is not that clear at the moment. And the next update will be on Wednesday, November the 22nd. Remember, tomorrow, pre-holiday, definitively pre-holiday. So tomorrow we have initial jobless claims, being that Thursday's Thanksgiving, durable goods, and also consumer sentiment come out all tomorrow. Market movers might be the initial jobless claims and durable goods. Expect a light volume day.